Hey everyone, it's Katie from Bobby Hair Studio. I'm so sorry for my recent absence. Over the last 3 weeks, I've had some technical difficulties with my filming. But at least I have this awesome video. I'm so excited to share it with you about going from like a copper red tone to a blonde in under 3 hours. And I do mean that I got it done in under 3 hours. This was our final result. We didn't even expect to get to be this light. We expected more of a strawberry blonde, but we're really happy with how this turned out. However, disclaimer, please keep in mind that everybody's hair is different. We've all had different experiences and we all have different hair types. So not everyone's gonna get this result in this amount of time. So let's get started. I am mixing up 2 bowls of the color remover by Schwarzkopf. This is my favorite color remover ever. I'm not even being sponsored to say this. This is the one that I always go to because it works really well and it's pretty gentle. It is a bleach-based color remover, and I do like to apply it to dry hair if possible, but it also works really well on wet hair. I've used this to remove old toner buildup in my blondes. I've used this to remove color in harder color clients that need to go lighter and remove everything all at once. And this is just amazing stuff. So if you have a chance to go pick up some of this and try it out, I would suggest it. But I don't suggest it on anybody who can't have lightener in their hair. So if you're trying to not actually use lightener and you're only wanting to use an ammonia-free, then I would recommend to use Vanish. I don't know what company it's by. It's in this little silver box and it smells terrible, but it works super well to remove permanent color, and I really love both of these. They're both my favorite color removers. So it just kind of depends on what kind of service you're gonna go for, but if you don't mind something with a bleach base to it, then use the Schwarzkopf color remover. I'm gonna go into my client's hair history a little bit here, just so you guys understand what's really underneath her hair. So my client has been seeing me for the past 7 years. I love her to death. She is super sweet and sees me every 4 weeks for her root touch-up. She has mature hair and it's quite dry and brittle, which is usually the case with mature hair. So it doesn't like to be bleached very much because it can snap really easily, even with one very gentle bleaching. And her hair also doesn't love to hold color. So what we've had to do recently is transfer her from a permanent color with her, copper tone that we've been doing to more of a double permanent color, which is even harder to get out of the hair when you do want to get it out. But the double permanent is one of those things that has extra pigment in it to cover over resistant hair. And so it's great for anybody whose hair doesn't want to cover, if you have those really stubborn grays, or if the color just fades out really fast. Because coppers tend to do that, and especially with mature hair and copper tones, this color doesn't want to stay in until we use double pigmented colors. But now that means that it doesn't want to come out. So we are doing this double process today of a color remover first, and then we'll be doing lightener. Because my client has mature hair, she's starting to see how much gray she has coming in, and she's decided that she would rather switch over to more of the silvery gray side. So we're not going to get silver today. You guys already saw the end result, and she knows that we're not going to get silver today. What I had talked with her about is potentially going from copper to strawberry blonde to silver. And that's typically the way that it ends up going. If you're able to skip one of those steps with just a surprise from how the hair reacts to your products, then that's awesome. And that is what happened today. We were actually able to skip the strawberry blonde and get her right up to blonde. But this is always a large kind of process, especially when you're going from the warmest warm color, which is orange, to the coolest cool color, which is also very light, which is silver. Silver has 0 orange in it, 0 yellow, and 0 red. So we're trying to remove all of those colors over some time, trim away all of her old copper, and eventually bring her to a silver. So let me know if you guys want to see more of this process, and I'll see if I can film her next session. So I'm making sure to give each area of the hair great saturation by doing a thin section, and I'm applying color to both the top and underneath, and I'm using my hands to massage in the product. This is a great product for leaving on the hair for 20 to 30 minutes because it will slowly and gently remove the color as much as anything is going to. And this is great to use before bleaching or before applying a new color. Of course, you have to wash it out before you do apply a new color, but this is fantastic, and you're gonna see how much it lifts out in just a moment. This is what's underneath of her permanent color. You can still see there's a couple patches where she has her permanent color still processing in there, but her ends are removing it quite well because her ends are older hair that tends to spit the color out anyways and tends to fade a lot faster, but she still has orange and yellow in there. So when you see a color remover, don't expect to have your virgin color back. It shows what's underneath your hair, which is called your underlying pigment, plus the staining of the permanent color. Right there is where we're still waiting for the color to process and come out because it's around her face, so it tends to stick in a little bit more. Now we're actually going to be putting on lightener on top of this, and that's going to give it that extra push, but it's also going to be more gentle than putting on straight lightener onto her hair. Now, my bleach mixing bowl actually has Agora bleach in here rather than Blonde Me. It has cool additive and it's all mixed together with 20 volume. And I'm applying that on top of the lightener remover here. This is the part that might be confusing for some hairstylists, and I'm going to explain why I did it exactly like this. I had a few options on how I could actually lighten her hair, but I decided this way overall. My first thought was how sensitive her scalp is going to be after having a bleach-based color remover on it. It essentially went all the way up to her scalp, lifted her roots a tiny bit, and then if I rinse it off and I put something with a lot of lift or a high power on top of that raw scalp, she's going to be in a lot of discomfort, potentially even some pain. So what I'm doing is instead layering lightener onto a lightener-based remover is much more gentle onto her scalp because she has that layer of protection already on there, and it's going to be warm, it's going to be maybe a little itchy, but she's not going to have any pain. There are so many ways that you can do a color correction, and this is honestly just one of the approaches that you could do, but I typically like to do it this way because it removes all of the color in the hair and I don't have to do tons of highlighting processes over top of each other, especially with hair that tends to be a little bit more brittle and tends to break easily. I don't want to have to refoil her hair several times to try to get rid of that red. I always prefer to use a cool additive into my lightener when I'm fighting super hard orange tones like this. This is the Schwarzkopf cool additive, and what it does is it adds this extra bluey pigment to the hair, and that helps to tone while it lifts as well. Another reason why this is good to layer on top of this type of color remover is because it adds a little extra power to the color remover, and the color remover almost like dilutes the actual lightener itself. So I'm not getting a full 9-level lift out of this. I'm getting a few extra levels, but again, there is that hard orange staining, so I'm not trying to like lift the levels out of it and leave the staining. I'm trying to remove the staining, which is the hardest part about a color removal service. Once this covers her whole head, I am going to apply the plastic cap to it again and let it incubate and sit there for another 30 to 40 minutes maximum, because I don't really need to see her get to like inside the banana yellow. I know that that won't happen anyways. We're just trying to get it as light and even as possible. Here she is all incubated and finished processing. It looks a lot lighter than it is because when you wash it off, boom, look at how orange she still is. It's like Alyssa Edwards when she's like, girl, look how orange you look. Sorry. Okay, let's keep going. I'm so happy I get to show this to you guys because if you've never seen what a color remover looks like on red hair, this is typically what you get when you put color remover on a red hair, is you still get super orange looking hair. And color remover is fantastic because what it does is it removes that first layer of those hard pigmented molecules. It pulls them all out of the hair, and then what you have is a much easier hair shaft to work with, and it lifts a lot easier when you use bleach on it afterwards. So if you've never tried color remover, try it out on your next color correction, and the bleaching process will be easier, but it does not mean she will return to her virgin hair. It does not mean all of the color is removed. And now it's time for toning. If you've watched my channel before, you know all the magic comes from toning the hair. So this is the toner that's in the hair. I didn't get any footage of me applying it, but that's fine. I still have the formula for you guys. Her toner was Schwarzkopf Vibrance 8-11, 8-19, 9.5-21, and 9.5-19, all mixed with 13 volume lotion developer. You're going to see her results in just a moment. Right here, we are curling her hair. She's a lot brighter and lighter. All those ash tones seem to help neutralize her hair into more of a warm, sunny, bright blonde. I didn't use any warm tones this time because of how much warmth we already had in her hair. But as you see me curling, I'm going to explain a little bit of my process here. The -1 means a cendré blue. It's basically a light periwinkle color. The -9 means violet, and the -2 is more of a darker blue, more of a navy blue. So I needed basically blue and violet to fight all those orange and gold tones and make it as bright as possible. And usually I would use a 6 volume developing lotion because it's deposit only, but this time I used a 13 volume because I wanted that extra bit of like a demi hold in there, and because she's a solid bleach out, I don't need to worry about potentially exposing her underlying pigment with a lifting developer because she has a solid bleach out and she has none of her virgin hair left. So I can use that 13 volume and I'll get a slightly better hold in that color, and I'll get a tiny bit of lift too, which is what I want. And of course, what we did with the toner was apply it for its full processing time, which was 20 minutes, and then we washed her out in the sink, applied a little bit of a hydrating mask, and then dried her up and curled her, and then she's ready to go for the day. So here's her final result. This is something that we didn't really expect to get to at this stage, but we're so happy to see that she's a bright, sunny, weedy looking blonde. It looks great on her skin tone, and she is able to wear this until her next appointment, where we might try to add a little bit more cooler tones. But essentially what we're going to do from here on in is do bleach root services and make her as icy as possible while we continue to cut out the old copper tones in her hair. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching up to this point, and remember to like and subscribe to support this channel in the future. Thank you so much, guys.